This conference will now be recorded.
Silence your cell phones, please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone. If you have not signed in, please do so at the podium. And we will move on to public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment? Anyone for public comment? Anyone for public comment? There's no one here for public comment. We are going to have Rachel introduce some new staff. Miss Rachel?
Thank you. All right. You want to come on for me? So I wanted to introduce you all to Lori Anderson. In case you don't know her, she is known to many, but she's our new paralegal, and we're so excited to have her. And we're she's fitting in great. She's been there, is this the start of the 4th week now? Yeah, so, and she's fit in perfect, and we're excited to have her, and she's doing great. So, Lori.
Great.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Round of applause, accounting board, I should like you. Thank you. Okay, Nikki's back to work. Okay, just kidding. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you.
All right, moving on to approval of the agenda. Commissioner Mulder, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Commissioner Christopherson?
No, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Krause?
No, Mr. Chair.
Michael? No, sir. Beth? That being said, I would look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
And a second.
Motion by Commissioner Christopherson, second by Commissioner Krause. There's no other discussion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to number 3, ditch authority. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. This morning, we are here to consider adopting findings and orders for the redetermination of benefits for, we'll do them individually, but both county ditches 26 and 32. Both of these public drainage systems lie just to the north of the city of New Richland, and we are in the middle of the redetermination process for both joint County Ditch 6 Freeborn and County Ditch 47. Both of those ditches run through the city of New Richland, and we felt the need to add these 2 ditches since pretty much all of the watersheds touch at some point in time, and most all of these systems provide some sort of drainage to the city of New Richland. With that being said, the first ditch on the docket is County Ditch 26. County Ditch consists of 1,188 acres with benefits of $26,725. It was established in 1953, and since the time of determination, benefits and damages have never been redetermined. This is an all-tile system with about a half mile of open ditch at the outlet, and it outlets into the Boot Creek. And we know that Boot Creek is also an area of concern. Boot Creek is part of the city of New Richland and their struggles, and the more current up-to-date information we can get in that general area, the more beneficial it will be to everyone. And I guess with that being said, we're recommending adopting the draft findings in order to initiate the redetermination of benefits, appoint viewers and engineer to initiate the redetermination of benefits and damages for County Ditch 26. Do you have any questions?
Questions from the board?
One question, does this ditch have depth?
As of right now, this ditch has a positive balance in their fund, about $3,900. They have one small loan, about $1,400. So they are positive. Not by much, but we are.
Anyone else? All right, so we're going to look for a motion to initiate the findings in order and appoint viewers and engineer for redetermination of benefits and damages for County Ditch 26. Can we do this all together, Chris, or is this going to need to be the findings in order and then appoint viewers and then engineer for redetermination?
No, it will be to just do the findings of order, initiating the redetermination of benefits, damages, appointing viewer and engineer. So you can do it
All in one.
And then after, if you have a motion in a second, there is a roll call vote at the end.
Okay.
I would make that motion.
Do we have a second?
We have a second.
A motion by Commissioner Walter, a second by Commissioner Christopher, by Commissioner Krause. Is there discussion?
The only thing I would say is it's long overdue.
Correct.
50s,
56.
53, 56, 52.
Yeah, we will find that the benefits will greatly exceed what they are, the 26,000.
Yeah, and eventually this ditch will need some repairs. In order to keep it going.
Okay, anything else? All those in favor, aye? Those opposed, same sign. Oh, we have to do a roll call. Correct.
Commissioner Krause,
Yes.
Commissioner Mulder,
Yes.
Commissioner Christopherson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Moving on to the next, is County Ditch 32. County Ditch 32 consists of 578 acres with benefits of $32,622. It was established in 1856, has never been redetermined. And this is an all-tile system that outlets into Leak Creek. To get further into it, this ditch has a cash balance just about $11,000. It has no loans, so it's cash positive. And we recommend adopting the draft findings in order to initiate the redetermination on viewers and engineer to initiate the redetermination of benefits for County Ditch 32.
I would move approval of all three of those things for CD 32.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Christopherson, second by Commissioner Walter. Any other discussion? That being said, all in favor, aye? Roll call again.
Commissioner Krause,
Yes.
Commissioner Mulder,
Yes.
Commissioner Christopherson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else for me?
I have one question for you, Chris, and has there ever been talk on some of these smaller county ditches, turning them back over to private? Like these 400-acre watersheds?
You know, in my short time here, that conversation has not come to me. You know, the process for doing that would be that everyone in the watershed would have to petition for abandoning the system. You know, it's not to say that it can't be done, but, you know, the history behind the public drainage system, it is it was put in place because at that time, there were discrepancies and disagreements between neighbors, and the county system was the only way that they could get a drainage project established.
Yeah.
Now, times have changed, owners have changed, it is a possibility. And, I know that there have been owners who have put in sub drainage systems alongside county systems, but the county system is still bearing the brunt of the work. I don't disagree that it can't work, but they have a lot of legwork to do to make that system function, as far as stringing together agreements, for how they're going to pay for it, who's going to maintain it, how it will be structured. And I think that a lot of people are not interested in reinventing the wheel.
Right, no. And the reason I bring it up is, there's added cost to having a county ditch versus a private ditch. In some of these smaller systems, like you say, back in the day, there might have been 15 owners on that system, and now there's probably 5. And could they have a mutual agreement, mutual private agreement, and make it more economical for that system?
Yeah, I guess that's debatable. If things are put in privately, they're not held to the same construction standards as a county system. So there are, economic benefits to doing that. It's just a matter of how much work those landowners want to put into it to remove it from the county system and to come up with their own organization or group and forming a new group with bylaws and.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything that the county would want to initiate. It would be if the landowners would want to initiate. I was curious if they could.
Yeah, and, and with this County Ditch 32, a portion of this, was instigated, but, we have a producer down there who is talking about taking some water out of County Ditch 32 and placing it into 47, petitioning to do so, possibly doing so. And so, it would be nice for us to have current information on all of our watersheds, so that if someone is wanting to cross watersheds or use another county system as an outlet, that we have the information to do so. I guess I'm indifferent if groups want to go to a private system. They all would need to understand, what they're getting into in terms of, just the structure of keeping it together. And, producers do it all the time, put in joint projects with neighbors. But in past experience, I've seen a lot of ditch groups that have an open ditch that strings from farm to farm to farm. And they do not have an agreement, and it has caused lots of issues and lots of angst and anxiety along the way, because one wants to do something and the next does not want to partake. And it comes down to, I'll let you do the maintenance through my property and I'm not going to pay for it. And, I guess my suggestion is that if anyone wants to go down that road, you need to replace the county system with something that is structured as well.
I think it would depend on how large that watershed is also, because who's going to oversight that? Not that we want more government always, but I mean, who's to say that we wouldn't have, a few farmers that open it up?
Yeah. Yeah, there's benefits and hindrances as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. Number 4 is approval of county board minutes. It has been updated. A, B, and C. And A, B, and C. Yeah, there is. It was
Oh, I had pulled up the September 5th agenda originally, but nothing changed. I just had it on the agenda.
So
I would move those 3 as a slate.
I do, yep, we're gonna have a motion by Commissioner Mulder, second by Commissioner Krause, and then there's gonna be just a little interjection.
In the board B, and under the riparian, item B, it should say, yes, SWCD, A to SWCD. If that change can be made, that would be good to go.
Yes.
Okay.
I get one a year.
Aren't you proud of him?
Good. Good.
Oh, my goodness.
Excellent. All right, with the change, and we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. 5 is the consent agenda. A is approval of the, wait, we already did that. No, we
Yeah,
didn't.
we did.
Hold on. 5 is the consent agenda. Approval of the bills, August 2023 monthly electronic funds, archery club lease agreement, Boy Scouts lease agreement, and Sika School District lease agreement. Looking for a motion to approve. There's a slate.
I would move that.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second, but I got a comment.
Yep. We have a motion by Commissioner Krause, second by Commissioner Christopherson. Is there discussion?
The archery club lease agreement,
Yes.
we're okay with a 5-year lease. So wasn't there some discussion?
We have had some discussions about standardization of leases being 3 years, yes. This is not a real cost implication here. It's a little nuanced, but yeah, you're definitely right. We have had those discussions.
If I look back. Wait a second, please. These were contracts that should start January 1, 2024 and go through December 31 of 2026, a 3-year period. I believe they were handed in incorrectly. We're going to pass them today, signed today, and they will be implemented January 1.
2024.
January 1 of 2024 through December 31 of 2026. The originals that got put in are not correct for the dates. You received them correctly, yeah. They were amended after that.
So on okay, just to reframe, Mr. Chair, the Archer agreement will have a final term commencing January 1, 2024, terminating December 31, 2026. Correct. Will be the 3-year term. Correct.
And what was that Boy Scouts?
That would be,
Should that be the same?
yes, Boy Scouts should be the same, archery and Boy Scouts should be the same. The school, the ISD 829 is different.
So I think we better.
So I would simply suggest if the parties are willing to do so, phrasing the motion to agree substantially the form provided with the acknowledgement that the dates on those two leases will be updated. Commencing January 2024, terminating December 31st, 2026 for a 3-year term.
Do you hear my one that?
Yeah. So the change would be going from January 1st, 2024, 24, 25, commencing on December 31st of 2026.
Correct, 3 year.
A 3-year.
For archery and Boy Scouts. So
For
archery
archery and for
those
Boy
two.
Scouts.
Correct.
Of the rental agreement.
Correct.
That would be the motion. Amended
Amended
motion.
motion.
Amended motion.
And you'll
So you
still,
agreeing with it?
you're agreeing with it?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
And I'll agree with the second.
Okay, so we have a amended motion and a second.
And that's just my only other comment is I think that's better. We're being more consistent with our leases.
Correct.
That's 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, now that we have these dates, it should be somewhat of a standardization coming through the three. Okay. Excellent. With that being said, if there's no other discussion, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion carries. 6 is action items. Resolution 2023-32, establishing an absentee ballot board.
Good morning again. The election time is here. Absentee voting starts in our office on Friday. That's the 46th day before the election. And we need to establish an absentee ballot board. And so I'm requesting adoption of resolution 2023-32 to establish that board. And then we would use trained judges to sign up with the caucuses with the parties that we received with the last general election, as well as auditor staff, and all of those people would have to have already be trained.
I would make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Walter, a second by Commissioner Christopherson. Is there any other discussion?
I guess I would just say that, that I appreciate the work of the auditor treasurer's office to go through the statutory requirements necessary to make sure that we have well-trained and impartial judges for our elections. Thank you to your staff.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Thank you. I did not mention this is for the entire cycle, so this will include the November 7th and February 13th. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Action item B, resolution 2023-30, MnDOT agreement number 1053452 for local bridge replacement program grant agreement. Mr. Jim? Morning.
Yeah, so this is for our bridge project on stop 5, bridge 7597 replacement. This was previously awarded to Hewlett Brothers and is scheduled for construction next year in 2024. This project is a recipient of a little over $400,000 in federal bridge replacement off system grant funding, which has already been executed and encumbered. And is also now a recipient of $86,009.78 of state grant funds for local bridge replacement. And that's what we're here for today. And then, so the MnDOT agreement has been prepared and is for that $86,000 and change standard grant agreement for the state funds. The balance of the project will be funded with county state highway dollars. And resolution 2023-30 with the result that we agree to the grant terms and the conditions for the receipt of the $86,000 and change, and then authorize county officers to execute the grant agreement, which would be the chairperson, county administrator, and myself. We recommend executing or adoption of the resolution and execution of the grant agreement.
Do we have a motion for resolution 2023-30? We do. So is there a second?
Yes. Second by Rosie.
Motion by Commissioner Christopherson, second by Commissioner Drowsy. Discussion.
Is, yes, Chair. We were is that 100% ready to go for next year?
Yep, so we advertised and awarded that contract to Ewens, so we're just really waiting on the production of box culverts.
Box culverts, and then there was some requirement of land.
Yep, so we did go through that eminent domain process and ultimately were able to mutually take care of that outside of court. We did go through the court process, but the landowner did ultimately settle and sign the necessary easements, so all right away has been acquired.
Okay, perfect.
Was it settled on a monetary note or was it settled with eminent domain?
Technically both, I guess. I mean, the court did grant us the easement, but the landowner did agree to our initial offer, so the dollar amount did not change. Just took a while to get there.
Just the proceedings to get in. Answer.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Letter C is resolution 2023-31, which is adopt and implement the Lee Sewer River Watershed Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan.
Morning, Commissioners.
How are you?
Good. So as part of this, there's kind of three parts. I guess I'll start. Three documents that we will kind of have to touch on here this morning. So the resolution 2023-31 is the adoption of the Lee Sewer River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan. Minnesota Board of Water and Soil Resources at their August board meeting approved the Sewer River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan, going back to their board resolution 1814, which I believe was the original planning resolution that they had approved or accepted the plan for the planning process, and this was to finalize it. With this resolution, Waseca County will be covered with both the Cannon and the Lee Sewer. The entire county will be covered with comprehensive watershed management plans, I believe effectively replacing the local water management plan, which was the goal of one watershed, one plan from the beginning. So that first action, or the first thing, will be the approval of that resolution adopting the plan. And then also as part of this, there is a joint powers agreement and the bylaws for that joint powers, for the collaboration that is created with the joint powers agreement.
Okay. So there's going to be three pieces to it.
We put it in as one. I don't know if it can be, or if we approve it all together as one item.
I think this joint powers has to be separated.
If I could make a
Yes.
suggestion. The resolution itself, let me get back there. The resolution itself says that we want to be part of this watershed, that we're accepting the bylaws and the joint powers agreement. But it seems to me that, just to clarify, it might be easiest to first join the joint powers, accept the bylaws, and then pass the resolution. that codifies that those are a thing. And we can hand all three of those things over to the watershed, and it will be a done deal.
Do we need something private to the drug policy? To join them? Is there going to be a resolution number attached to that?
There is a resolution.
But that's attached to adopt and implement. I mean, it's a separate motion, right?
I don't see any particular issue with how Commissioner Multer laid it out in that particular order.
So it's one resolution, but two separate motions.
Correct. Ultimately, yeah, the resolution for our own internal purposes. Just reading through the answer. Yeah, so the impetus in here seems to be that after the adoption of the plan, so our own internal resolution is going to enact the plan as it speaks, which can't really be done until the GPA has been joined and bylaws are relevant until the GPA has been joined. So, join JPA, accept bylaws, pass or county resolution.
Yes. So is that a motion?
It is.
So we have a motion to join the joint powers.
And accept bylaws? Very good.
I'm okay putting those two motions together, absolutely,
That's part of joining it, is accepting the bylaws.
absolutely. We can get this done in 2 fast sweeps.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Walter and a second by Commissioner Christopherson to join the Joint Powers Board and adhere by their bylaws. Any other discussion?
I would just say as by way of information, rumor has it that Steele County may be interested in joining our joint powers after we establish this, now that the planning process is over. We'll see whether that comes to fruition or not, and there is language in the joint powers that allows that to happen. Lewisburg County has a few acres in this, and they could choose to do that as well, or not. But just want to thank all the staff and other county folks who spent a lot of time over the last 2.5 years getting us to this point where we can get something to do this work.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. On to adopting the resolution and implement of the sewer river watershed comprehensive watershed.
I'm going to move resolution 2023-31. We did a lot of work to get ready to do this. Let's adopt it and implement it. Get it going.
We have a motion, is there a second?
There is.
Motion by Commissioner Multer, second by Commissioner Krause. Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Can we go back just a little bit on the, I know Jim worked hard on that, and evidently Rachel got involved, and no one likes to talk eminent domain. And I know it was not a huge monetary amount, and I'm just mildly irritated at how it went down. That after we send out registered letters that we know said individuals receive, we still get to the table and say, we're going to give you the original amount that everyone else got, even though we have extra staff time and the county attorney involved.
He would have got that amount anyways, because the process was after the court grants us possession of the easement, then the next step would have been to assign land commissioners that would go out and value the easement, the taking. And he would have gotten that amount anyways, or more potentially.
Regardless, there's never a zero amount on eminent domain.
No, fair compensation.
And I stand corrected. You know, it can be less mildly irritating. It still involves a lot of staff.
It does.
It certainly does. Yep. Yes. But it's the process that we have to do.
Good to know.
We actually saved the interest money by signing after possession was granted.
Right.
Before our planning commissioners got involved.
Thank you. All right, I'll be better. D is resolution 2023-34, the 2024 preliminary budget and levy approval. Michael.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Before getting to that resolution, we'll take a few minutes and go through what really leads up and culminates in that request that I brought to you today. So just parking for a couple of moments on the statutory authority for what is being asked of the commissioners today and why. Of course, the action being requested is certifying a proposed or preliminary levy, which must be done on or before September 30th in any given fiscal year. Information has to be sent to the state. To do so would be to basically certify your last year's levy. As you are aware, but just for general consumption, the proposed levy between those two kind of key dates being the proposed and the final levy, the amount can only decrease, it cannot increase. So whatever is approved in terms of preliminary levy should be seen as the maximum in getting and working towards that December date, which is setting what would be the final or certified levy going into 2024. So ultimately, this information will be used and compiled by Tammy and her staff to put together preliminary and proposed tax notices that are sent out in the month of November. That individuals are encouraged, constituents are encouraged to analyze that and bring that back for any potential questions they may have of the various local government units, be it the county, the city, the school districts, or any special taxing districts, again, in that December budgetary meeting. As just mentioned, there's the final date for the certification of levy. That always happens in our instance, the second or third week of December. I want to take a moment to talk through some of the evaluation takeaways in 2023 and then what impacts 2024. As you were aware, and we'll get into in a moment, the levy and the value are the major driving factors for what happens on an individual's property tax in any given year. And every year, there will be a change to that implication or the total tax bill based upon what is going on in either the levy setting process or the private market. The private market would dictate on the valuation side of things. So there are market adjustments that are made every single year based upon real data that's happening in the market itself. And as I said, even in stabilized market, which we haven't really seen in the last couple of years, it's been anything but stable in terms of home values, egg values, etc. But good to keep in the forefront of our mind. We have seen historic increases in tax capacity. This is a number that has never been close to that amount. Ultimately, it is a good thing in terms of the overall valuation pool of the county increasing substantially. However, it has its own implications as well that we'll talk about in just a moment. I mentioned to you in previous work sessions that I don't think it's ever been remotely within 4 to 5 times this amount. This is significantly more than we've ever seen and likely will see again. But at the simplest way of looking at things, your levy divided by your tax base, and the tax base is that number right here that I just mentioned, that 39.6 million, is how you're going to land at what a tax rate is, and that tax rate is used systematically across every single parcel within Waseca County. That same effective rate is used on every single parcel. It doesn't deviate, and it is applied simply fairly across all of the properties What we specifically saw in 2023, analyzing the state sales data, is monumental shifts in agricultural values in southeastern counties. As you can see, Waseca County has the highest increase on that slide in front of you. And we'll talk about a little bit of what led to that. But even some of our neighbors, and this would be same to our neighbors to the west as well, and north and south, every county is seeing specific and significant. Did I cover all the directions? Everyone surrounding us is seeing substantial increases as well in agricultural value. When you look at Waseca County specifically, from 2019 through 2024, it's a little bit more stark and realistic for why you see such substantial shifts in the 2023 assessment year going into 2024 payable. Some of those other surrounding counties saw a little bit more maintenance happening on an ongoing basis from 2019 through today. If you look at the effective change from 19 through 23, obviously, if my math is right, that's only a negligible 1% increase over that point in time, which is very insignificant and out of line with what was happening with the rest of the market data around us. However, we were not required, as we were in this particular instance, by the state to apply any equalization values or equalization rates, I should say, in those previous years because the total sales volume did not warrant it. When we look at the sales data between at the end of 2021 through 2022, which is effectively what the data source that is used to make determinations for payables 2024, it's always a couple years in arrears. There were significant sales that were happening between October 2021 and through September of 2022, which is that 12-month period that is used for the sales ratio analysis of the state. So it's not hard for us to go out and look and say, yes, there were tillable acres that were being sold in excess of $13,000 and even $14,000 an acre. And we were valuing our acreage, our tillable acreage, a little more than $7,000. So there's a significant gap or disparity there between what the county was saying is the assessed value versus what the market, the private market is saying is the actual value at an arm's length transaction, which is the language we have to lean on. So all of that culminating in a very sizable increase in agricultural property between payable 2023 and what individuals will see implicated on their tax statement for 2024. Understanding that shift of what that means, when we go back to that base relationship of your levy versus your tax capacity, the numerator denominator effect or relationship for what equates to be a tax rate. Even as I said earlier, if the levy maintained zero, if it was a 0% increase from one year to the next, myself as an individual owner would still see a change on my tax statement. And that is going to be because the private market, the valuation is always moving. The total valuation pool is always changing, which is that tax capacity number. And understanding how that shift of burden happens is important in that relationship. And just as means of an example, if in today's world, using the actual county data, if I am a median valued homeowner in the city of Waseca or even exterior in other cities, the percentage change of market value is the exact same. I would have to see an increase of the county's levy by 9.38% or a total of $1.6 million before I would see an increase to my taxes at the county level. That is because the insulation of that shifting of burden, or how much the agricultural value overall increased compared to how much the tax base itself increased, compared to how little the levy increased, has created a relationship where it is very residential or commercial friendly, put another way. The flip side of the coin with that shift of burden is the agricultural property, which would have to see a decrease of levy of 1.2 million to simply what I say break even, and that would be to not have an increase in property tax on a tillable acre. So a very sizable gap of $2.9 million just to say, let's equalize. If the county board, for example, wanted to say, let's create a scenario where there is zero tax increase for anybody, it's impossible. There will never be an equalized distribution of that burden from one year to the next because data is always changing, the market is always changing, valuations are always changing. So even if you had a 0% increase for the next 5 years, my tax statement will always change in some way because my house, my home may be valued higher this year and maybe worth more this year than the following year or 5 years from now because the market says so. So just alluding to that impossibility as it says of creating an equalized taxing scenario, it's not possible to do. So looking at some levy breakpoints for 2024, a 0%, of course, would be what is currently certified in 2023. In this fiscal period, what the county is operating off of based upon the board's determination in December of 2022, and what all of those various breakpoints would be in terms of percentage and the real dollar equivalents associated with those percentages as well. The recommendation I'm bringing to you today is for a 1.5% increase over 2023, a nominal increase, and this is a quick, I know this is small, but this was also in the package as well too. If you want to zoom in a little bit on it or just see it in a little larger font. This is just a quick breakdown of what is happening at the departmental level, at the fund level, that ultimately adds up to what is, go to this next slide so it's easier to see. 18, an ask, a 1.5% increase over 2023, which equates to $10,262. What is significant is the budget line, that budgeted expenditures. So we'll go to this next slide. When we look at just a quick snapshot over even the last decade, you obviously see a pretty significant increase, 18.84% of budget. And when you couple that against a 1.5% of levy, that is pretty astounding. Essentially, the budgeted expenditures are what we're looking at as service delivery. How much more can we do for less money? So anytime you've seen that continue to trend over the last few years, anytime we can significantly deliver more services and spend less money, that is a great scenario to be in. A lot of that increase in budget for the 2024 year comes back to the public works area, which has a very sizable construction program budgeted for 2024. But also in that public works picture continues to see a decrease in the operating levy request itself due to the supplementary revenue sources that the county engineer is able to work with and find. This just looks at what some of those specific implications are at the property level. So if, for example, in this instance, there is a 1.5% increase over the 2023 levy, what does that mean to an individual property? What does that mean to an individual parcel? So there's just some breakdowns for you there that if I am a median valued home, and these are the actual median values from 2023 versus 2024, and again, the market says that you increased 13.04% from last year to this year based upon sales data again. Knowing that my house is worth 13% more than it was last year, my tax implication would still decrease nearly $57 just based upon the other relationships, as I mentioned before, which is the levy and the total tax base itself, which ultimately is always what's driving the rate. So it's a very favorable position to be in, as I said, from a residential standpoint or a commercial standpoint. Summarized at a high level in another way, looking at your median residential homesteads, your commercial industrials, even your non-homesteads and higher value properties, again, you're still seeing significant decreases on honestly anything that is not agricultural in nature for 2024. So back to the title itself, as implied, the resolution 2023-34 would be asking a couple of things of the Board of Commissioners, one being an increase of 1.5% as a preliminary levy, compared to 2023. And as a reminder, that number can go down before December. And historically, working with this board has been the case, but even if not, just worth mentioning, 1.5% is the maximum that would be allotted for 2024, but that number can be reduced at that December meeting. The 1.5% would be what are the preliminary tax notices are calculated based off of. The second request nested in this is to set the final budget hearing, which in this case is Tuesday, December 19th at 6 p.m. as the budget hearing meeting date. This is the normal date for the Board of Commissioner meeting. It just moves it from the morning to the evening as is statutorily required to do, so people can attend, obviously. So I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chair, for any questions. I can go back and answer, happy to do so, or for the board's wishes on the resolution.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks to you and the staff for doing your due diligence and working on this since before August. Questions or comments from the board?
Do you have discussion? I would move this to get us into discussion.
The 1.5%.
Yes.
What is proposed? There's a motion for what Michael's proposed at 1.5% increase. Is there a second?
I will second that.
There's a motion by Commissioner Walter, and a second by Commissioner Krause. We are open for discussion.
And I'll start because I wanted to get us to discussion. It is hard to look at this, how the tax burden is shifting this year in an agricultural county, and play out the implications of that. At the same time, I really, really appreciate the hard work that staff has done, not just in the last few months to bring us to this discussion, but also in the last year plus in our assessor's office, to get us kind of caught up in where we should be, to help our system be in better shape so that moving forward, we have a better idea where we're going. We've got better data now than we've ever had to look at these decisions and make them. And I consistently hear from constituents that they appreciate how much the county is getting done. It takes money to get these services done. We want them to be done well. And at some point, you kind of have to true things up and say, this is what it's going to take going forward. It gives me some comfort when I look at that map and see that everybody else around us is going up and quite substantially as well. But from an ag end, it's hard. It's hard. But this is part of equalization and using the system to fairly and appropriately assess.
Yeah, I would, I'll vote in favor of a 1.5 at preliminary. We've had many work sessions and we have identified even more areas of possible savings. And I think we got to continue to keep that at the forefront. We did a lot of things over the last couple of years to make our county more efficient, to reduce year after year costs, not just one-time savings. And that's what we're really after, is to reduce the footprint of the county and to reduce the overall burden of residents as a whole. There again, we can't see that every year because of the equalization part of it. Some people aren't going to feel that way this year. that they're getting reduced, but overall we are. And I will vote in favor of a 1.5 at preliminary, but I still want all of us to be open to further reductions by the time we get to final. We never went below 0, but if the numbers say we can, I think we should accept that. If we feel like it's a year after year savings on what we're doing, the decisions we're making. That's all I have.
Nothing more for me. I just appreciate Commissioner Mulder and Commissioner Christopherson's comments, and I totally agree that, yeah, we're starting out at 1.5, which is perfectly fine, but there are several areas that we need to firm up those dollar amounts, so we could possibly go lower yet. So, no, this is a good starting point.
Can you go back to the slide, Michael, from 2010, please? Where it showed the increases over the years. I think that kind of says it all right there. I mean, the peaks and valleys are what we're trying to avoid to the constituents of this county.
And I think our numbers that we look at are so much better now than what we've been able to look at in the past. I mean,
We're definitely more well-informed.
well informed, yeah,
Sure.
so we can make these good decisions. And we know what money's coming in and what's going out. I think we're very well educated by our staff, and compliments to our staff for doing the work that they've done.
Anyone else?
Well, I appreciate the board's involvement in this. I mean, you get involved early on in this process, of course, and it's many hours of your time. And it's not easy to always get your hands around what I'm throwing at you or staff are throwing at you. So I just want to make sure you recognize your own component in the process as well too. It's a substantial and significant investment of time in your overall job throughout the year, which we get started basically in May for this process, and then you get pulled in July, and from July through September, I think we're going to ask you to dedicate every available work session moment you have to this cause. So there's a lot of time that goes into this.
Thank you.
And we're just not looking at 1 year at a time. We're looking back, and we're also looking forward to see what we're going to be at using these numbers in the present. So that's very helpful.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion for the preliminary budget set at 1.5%, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Number 7 is the administration. A is the administration update.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. You've heard a lot from me already, so I'll try and be brief there, but we continue to have a couple of ongoing capital infrastructure conversations, building conversations. And again, thank you for your time and the delegates there on the building committee board. And we have another touch base this afternoon at 1:30. Not that you'd be required for, just to quickly keep trying to move the conversation forward so we can get the information to come back to you. So we'll look at a presentation from the PBKB group in hopefully by our next meeting, beginning of October. And that touch base today will just kind of solidify some of those presentations and offerings that will be brought back to you. Continue to work on the community services building as well. I'm in kind of a sprint right now for the end of September, working with Region 9, meeting with the federal EDA tomorrow morning, and Region 9 as well to solidify. The grant application is done. The EDA has had the draft form, and we'll be going over that tomorrow, making any final tweaks in the next 10 days, by the end of next week. We've got a number of letters of support from external agencies, higher education institutions, etc. Touching base with St. Cloud State University this afternoon as well, about the ACE program, continuing to move that forward. So there's a number of conversations that are both separate and overlapping at the same time. So it's been an interesting month thus far, and I'm sure we'll continue to be through it. Any specific questions or updates you're looking for from me, I'm really happy to supplement.
Questions for Michael?
Not at this time. And otherwise, you can touch on the HR announcements. So nothing specific to go over, just to mention that you have that handout in front of you that was prepared for you. For the first time in a very, very long time, there aren't any specific personnel actions to mention. Right? Just okay. There's always things to mention, but nothing that, no movement at the moment, which is good to see a little bit of stabilization there as the recruiting efforts have been pretty monumental this year as well. Any questions, HR? Turn it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Michael. We are going to move on to commissioner reports. Mr. Walter, would you like to begin?
Last met 2 weeks ago. Since that time, on the afternoon of our last meeting, I attended a library board budgeting meeting and had discussions there about what their levy is going to look like. Staff was doing a good job getting us to a reasonable place on the preliminary, and so that process is working parallel to ours. Janesville City Council meeting that night. On the 6th, Shack membership development. I went out to the federal prison for breakfast that morning, and that was great to see our federal partners there and build relationships. Then the Waseca County Collaborative for Families. We're really looking at some possible big changes there, working with in Prairie and with others to try to figure out what that's supposed to look like going forward. And I'm very hopeful about how that's going to look. NACO Health Steering Committee, my first time on that steering committee as a vice chair. The HRA met that evening, and then we had to come back and have a special meeting at the beginning of this week because of some grant issues that had to be worked out. That keeps moving ahead. Joint leadership subgroup on infrastructure funding. SWCD had a wonderful 75th anniversary luncheon that I think we all attended, and it was delicious and fellowship was great and great to celebrate with them. United Way kickoff, thanks Michael for hosting and for staff that attended. And we want to be good supporters because they support us. The 8th, met with staff and with WIDSA to look at what a justice center might look like from their end. They brought some interesting viewpoints. Then off to our road tour, which thank you, Mr. Kolars, for a great tour of the county and the roads that have gotten done, the roads that need to get done, and the things that are on the immediate schedule. It was a good tour, and I came away much better informed than when I got in the car. Thanks for driving. Then working back with MDH on this funding work group for the new public health funding that's going to come, the supplementary funding that's going to help build our capacity and foundation of public health responsibilities. Monday, Joint Powers leadership for transformation of public health, and then another funding work group, and then the library board. We lost another library director that we're going to have to replace. We just did a wage study last year. So I don't think we're far off, but had a lot of turnover there. Special meeting with the HRA, then Mid Prairie. We had a special budget meeting, which was good, informative. I did not go to the extension meeting, couldn't make it. We had a phone meeting with SWCD on the morning of the 13th. I took off for AMC Policy Conference. Had a board meeting for AMC. I'm learning a ton there and feel welcome and they want a seat at the table, which is awesome. Spent 3 full days learning and making decisions at AMC, and my HHS policy committee did some really hard work to get some platform pieces in place that we're going to be working hard on in the coming year. CHAP met, the executive committee met after that, before we left Alexandria, so that was good. And yesterday, I was back up in the cities to meet with MPH staff and another 21st Century Drug Leadership team. And then last night, it was MBAC, Child Development and Committee. So I've been running all over the state in the last 2 weeks. Lots of work getting done in preparation for preliminary levies and in preparation for the coming legislative session.
Thank you, Commissioner Walter. I've got the subcommittee list here. I was wondering if you had some time to
Yeah, just send it my way. I've been telling people no very regularly lately. The end of September, a couple of these work groups will fall off and that will make my life pretty easy. Oh my goodness, yes.
So I'm very busy.
Commissioner Bill?
Sure.
Commissioner Christopherson?
Okay, yeah, going back to the 7th. We had a Mid Prairie Personnel Committee to move forward the search for an executive director. And then also SWCD anniversary was that day. We all attended. The 8th was the road tour. 12th was Mid Prairie Joint Powers Board, where we did set our preliminary levy back to the counties. That was 2.41 overall. That I'm looking like, I think that could improve a little bit, but maybe not significant. Then I went to extension that late afternoon. 13th, Public Works Committee. Right, that was at 7 in the morning, and then at 8 o'clock we had the SWCD phone conversation, virtual. Wayne and Dee were on the phone, and Mark and I and Michael were in the office, so, to talk over their budget and what we'd like to see moving forward. 14th and 15th then, or we went up on the 13th, but 14th and 15th was the fall conference up at Alexandria, the AMC fall conference. And then yesterday was Labor Committee. And now today, after this, I've got Mid Prairie work session to work on possible formulation changes for distributing the cost of Mid Prairie. And also I'm going to try to get ahead of that to Safe Harbor, SCHRC, their 40th anniversary of running Safe Harbor. So I'm going to try to sneak in there for my piece of cake. That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Crowe?
Go back to the 5th, the evening of Tuesday, the 5th of September. I did go to a Farm Bureau meeting in Janesville, at Purple Goose. I happened to sit down and eat supper with Tom Peterson, the Minnesota Commissioner of Ag. I got to visit with him throughout the evening. And I wasn't on the schedule, but somehow I ended up speaking and sharing some county board and Western County information on what we've been working on. So my speaking is slowly improving, but we're getting a little better. And then Thursday the 7th, the SWCD luncheon. And then in the afternoon was the United Way fundraiser. And then I did also talk to Heather from Region 9. She's looking for one of the board members to do an orientation to be with Region 9. So we'd be represented over there. I did, after talking with her for quite a while, I know Michael is in constant contact with Heather for Region 9. And we decided that we'll wait until this winter, after the first year, to move forward with putting somebody on in that spot. So knowing that we have great communication with Region 9 now, I thought that would be the best plan moving forward. So that's where we're at there. Then Friday the 8th was the road tour. Thank you, Jim. Nice road tour. September 11th was that was the Ag Society. Tuesday the 12th, I did go to the Little Town Board meeting, township meeting. We talked a little bit about the fire truck and the rural fire district. And then I presented at an assignment to the township board for a letter of enthusiasm, I called it, for broadband. So the local township board will be putting that letter together. They did a resolution for it. So I'm waiting on that. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday was AMC. I did go to the Transportation and Infrastructure Policy Committee and some interesting topics. Greenhouse gas emissions, and I would imagine, Jim, you're well aware of that. You know, they're putting anything over $5 million project that there will be possibly added, what should I say, investments or criteria that those investments would have to meet. And that goes along with the VMT, the vehicle mileage, that they want to cut down the vehicle mileage. And so it really seemed really hard that out here in Waseca County that we would have to try and do something like that, accomplish those goals.
It's really driven from Metro.
And it's really driven by the Metro. And then again, the Metro is telling, I would say, land, rocks, and cows what we should be doing out here, which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But none of it does. And I'll leave it as that. Then the update, we've talked a lot about land surveying and finding the markers and stuff. And so there is funding, as I understand, there's funding available for that, grant funding. If we wanted to look at doing something like that again. And then Friday
Friday morning, we're up there, and then we did our policy reviews, and that's it.
Should we call those green fees over 5 million? Green fees. Green fees.
I mean, they were talking about doing, maybe, doing the extra lanes, so the cars wouldn't have to slow down. Synchronizing the stoplights, so you wouldn't have to stop. And it's just, and it's driven by the legislature. So I guess we'd have to talk to our representatives about that sort of thing. I don't know if it'll really affect us all that much, but I heard a real good comment by a fellow commissioner, that if we went back to the 55 mile an hour saves lives, we'd all live closer to our jobs. And then we'd less cars on the road. There'd be less cars on the road, instead of going 85 miles an hour to work. Traveling.
I think that has changed. People not going to work.
Yeah, no, they can stay at home. Work from home.
You'd never guess that people are staying home when you go drive around them. There's still so much traffic. I thought 10-20% were staying home to work, and we still have.
They may be, but they're still driving around.
They must be driving around while they're working.
Yeah, it seems like you have constant traffic all the time, and not the spurs of traffic.
Thanks, Commissioner Krause. 7:30 on Tuesday, the 5th, I went to the Woodville Town Hall for their meeting. On Wednesday, the 6th, Waseca Lakes Association in the conference room here at 7 a.m. That was virtual. They had a person from Wisconsin, I believe, on clean water. So they're looking into some clean water ways for the lakes in Waseca County. With Seth was at 11 a.m. Community Services Building on Wednesday. Thursday was the SWCD 75 years. Friday the 8th was it met with Winseth at 8 a.m. And the road tour from 10 to 2. The Fair Board had the steak fry at the Legion Friday night. Saturday morning, CERT was taking electronics on the North Waseca Lutheran Church Road. So I took some electronics out there and talked to some of the people out there for a while, which was interesting. Monday, BKB, I came in and sat in Michael's office for a virtual with them at 10:30. 6:30 Monday night was the Arts Council. Wednesday, the 13th, 7 a.m. was Public Works. Left Wednesday night for AMC, there Thursday, and left Friday for coming back home. Yesterday at 1 p.m. was the Labor Committee, and last night at 6 p.m. was the Neighborhood Service Center board meeting and the food show. Brings us to today. That's what I have.
I'll just make one comment at the AMC, since we got the land and resource boys here. One of our top priorities, or we've set our platform, we've got 3 primary priorities, and one of them is registry, on the drainage registry, part of the legislation. That is when we split up, they wanted us to introduce ourselves individually, and then what your main concerns in your county are, and 95% of them are drainage. Every county has the same or similar issues.
And I did talk to Tom Peterson that night that I met with him. I did mention that that the drainage
registry, and he is very well aware of that. So we're not the only ones that are concerned, so there's a lot of concern out there. So, and if I read him right, it just seemed like it really wasn't gonna go very far. It wasn't gonna pick up a lot of steam, but who knows? But it's something to keep on our radar. And,
Well, I think that's, it may not go far in his mind, but ultimately those are legislative asks, and we need to make sure that we're doing what we can individually, making contact with our legislators, and then educating urban legislators about the burden that would place on rural counties. And AMC is really good at making sure that rural county voices are heard there too. We need to make sure we're part of that process as a rural county.
Anything else to come before this board? Well, with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second. Motion by Commissioner Krause, second by Commissioner Christopherson. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion carries. We're done at 10:51.
You did that on purpose.
I did.
you know what? I didn't even knock over my pen.
Get you a bronze, but I'll bring you to a song.
Hey, that would be cool.
Hang one behind you.
They'd be calling us the gong, this is the gong show.
I need to find the person that's got the temp setting for this chair, because it's awfully on.
They do it, Chris.
I think it probably went in his pocket when we heard it.
Oh, get your
Sorry,
back.
Beth.
Oh, yeah. He brought breakfast. Whatever.
Right, so I'm gonna do gracious release on
Get it out to your
the.
head.
Chris is waiting for his.
I know it, I have to read through it.
I gotta read it line for line.
Thank you. I'm glad that.
And if you're.
Yeah.
So I need to send out a teacher into Excel.
Well, there we go.
So we'll see, that's something that's what I'm because they're talking
Okay.
Saturday afternoon anyway. So you're
Yeah, I
will
will
be mobilizing to the field at best.
Awesome.
So,
I asked for.
right, I've been able to pull it in,
Awesome.
but it's a start.
So we all have to learn new tools, don't we?
But, no, I didn't. Good steering wheel yesterday.
So.
Yeah, just think about something I'm anxious that it isn't just like when we see each other face to face, and we just reassure each other.
Yeah.
Now, I know we've got 3 hours left.
I don't really.
Okay,
So,
oh, if
And then you'll have your,
we,
you'll have your two sides. Your
if we know for
individual
sure we're gonna
do
do
some
only
all
go to.
reports.
Nine, or
And then you
4.
have the other side of
So that people.
people that actually-
yeah.
I mean, it's nice to have a nice surprise, but it is getting that time of year.
Then you'll have to-
And,
Just to blow them off.
and I mean, the impression I got.
Do what I want anyway.
yesterday
I don't know what you do.
Is that we may need to check up for our 2 weeks from today. So either much more to say sooner than that, or we say today the same, so that we can't change. We're going to take a break. Every day they change quite a bit, so it's
I would say 10 sessions.
Yep, but November.
I've been trying to tell Jake that too, but he won't listen.
And ideally November, I would like, I mean, we need to be able to plan this.
Yeah, well, and then let's set that date. All right, partly because we've got Thanksgiving and and we want to be at toward the end, partly because harvest is wrapping up. So it's not, no, it's not one thing, the first week or two. So let's try to all the dates for sure, make sure we don't get a quorum.
And if we,
I know I am.
for November, you know, if we don't have an October meeting. I think I would almost.
That's the only time that we.
They did change the structure. The only one that stayed the same was the school one.
What do I say, be like?
Like, look at this, just
I'll
the
compare
rough.
I'm just so curious.
You know, so.
You're missing something.
I did reach out to him.
Yeah, I looked at the.
We kind of like, hey, we're gonna July, June.
Or no, the 27th.
It's been, unless you do the golden meetings, you do that in July.
So if we would have gone with seven, I would say,
Change school one was fine.
let's shoot for November 17th. And I'm just, we're just.
I know.
You won't, okay.
I'm gonna be in futures.
At least now.
And are we, I mean, we're not necessarily.
Yeah.
The only way you can get a discussion about this.
Although that has been our practice.
You know that eighty-two, they changed it.
Okay.
Forgot to ask. BOC work session next week.
Okay. Tuesday and Friday, I just talked.
Okay.
So 8 AM.
Because
We do Rachel.
And
Okay.
what about Wednesday, the 27th? That's the Friday of that Thursday.
Oh,
We're gonna put a time.
that would probably, about next November. That would probably.
So you.
Otherwise, you might be
Nine.
scheduled for 9.
Right.
8 to 9.
What day?
8 to
And
9.
then I would say.
9.
So the next
On
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
Okay.
Just.
Right now, I'm not making my own
Because I think,
schedule.